Oh my god, that's Jason Bourne.
That's Jason
You're
Bourne.
on about
Justin Hoffman.
no, what's his name in the film?
So good.
Welcome back, Jason.
Do you know what's a great film with Matt Damon? Have you ever seen The Martian?
Yeah.
Yes.
What a film.
To be honest, we're big Matt Damon fans. Like,
What
if
a
it's got
film.
him in it, we've probably him and also
Noah,
Mark
Noah,
Wahlberg.
that's his name.
If Mark
Do you know
Wahlberg's in a
Mark-
movie,
do you know Mark Wahlberg?
you know what you're in for. It's going to be entertaining.
Yeah.
That's his name, is it? Noah.
Noah. Yeah.
Matt Damon. Mate, what a film. That's True Survivor. No,
Yeah.
Lone Survivor.
Yeah.
You know that's a true story?
Yeah.
That is,
Yeah,
and that,
yeah.
that's what they base the Murph workout on. Because it's Murph. He's the soldier.
no
He was one of
way.
the soldiers that died on the hill. And that's why they do
shit,
it. But it's
yeah.
that whole scenario, obviously
Yeah.
it's for the movie, but it's based on true story.
like, you know-
And when he's leaning up the tree going, because all that fucking blood's filling his lungs, he's like, and then bang, headshot.
It's savage, man.
You have to chuck yourself down a rocky mountain.
I don't remember this movie. I know.
Lone
I know I've
Survivor.
seen it.
No, it's like they start out on the hill, and there's a kid walking the goats up the hill, and he sees them.
Yes.
And
They're in
he's like,
Afghanistan.
and he's like,
Yeah.
"Fuck."
Yeah.
Do you know what's a great film that you need to watch if you like that one? Triple Frontier.
Yeah, we've seen it. What? All the money in the walls.
I think to myself in my head, I'm like, do you know what? I'd pull that wall down so fast and I'd be so legit at putting the money in the bag and I wouldn't miss anything.
Have you
But he
watched
got too greedy.
What was
Yeah.
that other film we watched with the?
That's a true story about
it?
a Navy SEAL, ex-Navy SEAL team who went and did a private corporate job and they fucking robbed this Colombian
This is a good
fucking
podcast, but
Yeah. What's your other podcast about?
No,
Well, movie reviews.
Colombian drug lords.
the what's that one where he's fucking?
What? Who are we talking about?
I'm trying to remember who's in
Yeah,
it.
name the actor. Give us a clue.
What's his name?
The lead actor in
Which
that
is the one?
class.
Which is
no,
the one where
it's
like?
the army one we watched, and it's called
Which is the one
American
about the
Sniper.
translators, and the translator
Yeah.
drags him
Through the
home, and that's a true story. Or it's based on.
Oh no, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's quite a new film.
Yeah.
And he puts him on
What's it called?
the
Yeah.
stretcher.
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
his name? Did the film?
What?
Guy Ritchie. Is it Guy Ritchie?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking. That is all.
But apparently, like the interpreters would do things like that.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
And they fed him and everything. And
Kept him alive.
I
wow.
thought that was a good twist because usually it's American dog shit, isn't it? It's just all
That links in nicely to mental resilience.
I love how we just segue into. Hi guys, welcome to the Perk+Pace podcast. So today we're going to talk about mental resilience and how that sets us up for, I guess, things like discipline, life, how it goes into fitness and the rest of our lives as well.
Its relationship with physical fitness.
Yes, yeah.
Do you think you're a mentally resilient person, Matt?
I think I'd like to say yes.
Why are you laughing?
because that's what I feel like I should say yes, but then I've discovered lately that I'm not.
I mean, it's all fucking debatable, isn't it? I suppose it did.
I think it depends what the situation is like.
I'm going off the cuff here, but the first thing that comes to mind is like, you know, would I class myself as mentally resilient? However, do you class? I'm going quite deep here, but like, you know, a single mum with 3 kids mentally resilient?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. So in my head, I'm like, that's fucking mental.
Yeah, well, it's relative though, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because you're
yeah,
never
yeah.
going to experience being a single mother with
No.
3 kids. Biologically impossible.
Yeah.
Okay, so like, I'll ask you some questions then. Like, do you think you're mentally resilient when it comes to like sport, athletics?
Yes.
Like this is something.
That's a bit of a shit answer.
So
Yes.
no, because I knew you were going to say that, but like this is the thing, because I've always said to Ian, like, I class myself as a really mentally strong person. Really, like, I can power through anything,
Yeah.
any challenge. I know how to talk to myself. I know how to get myself through, almost to a fault. We mentioned this in the previous podcast, like not knowing when to give up,
Yeah.
not knowing when to like tap out.
Yeah.
But it's not something I've ever been able to relate into physical or athletic trials and tribulations. Like, I've always tapped out when it's got a bit hard. I've said before, like, I was always really scared of zone 5. Like, that was my thing. Or just like, obviously I don't know exactly what zone 5 is, but I was scared of that feeling. I hated it. I want to get out of it as soon as possible.
Yeah.
That would be when I would stop. So the relation is like training my brain to like segue that, or to like make it a transferable skill, has been a journey.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that, like, for myself personally, when I think about the environments that I've been in and the years of just delayed gratification, in terms of sticking to something, having to be mentally resilient, knowing that if I, stay the course, something X will happen. I learned that from a really young age because I did martial arts from the age of 10. So, and that was back when it was like, there's a lot of martial arts that are barefoot, but just as an example, like wooden old gym school fucking floors that are filthy, bare feet, like blisters literally, especially at the start, you'd get blisters all the time because you're in bare feet. You're doing push-ups on your knuckles. It was literally not for the faint-hearted. But when I think back to myself now doing that at 10, I'm like, fucking hell.
Well, of course you're going to turn out resilient.
Yeah, and this is it. So like in it, especially with the karate that I did, it hammered home the fact that nothing is instant. Like you have to delay, you have to work, you have to delay the gratification to get success.
It's not overnight.
No, and that's just like something that I think because I went through years of doing that, it's just naturally gone into my athletics or my high rocks and whatever else. But what I will say though on the flip side is that I've always been mentally strong, like physically with doing something in a physical pursuit, but noticed that when I got into like my early, let's call it adulthood, like after teens and stuff, when you're trying to find out who you are and get a life, my default setting would be anger when it comes to conflicting situations emotionally. So it's like, Matt, you can't push up your way out of this. Do you know what I mean? Like you can't run your way out of this. So when it was dealing with different situations, I noticed, and obviously hindsight now, but I noticed that when I was in my early 20s, I really struggled with having to solve something, not personally, but like emotionally. I wasn't really as developed as I'd like to think that I was.
It's almost like you can like stay the course when it's like physical
all day,
but like it's a lot harder mentally. We're the two opposite sides of the coin here.
I wasn't developed enough emotionally, I don't think, to just deal with like hopefully, like I think I can now, but I wasn't that emotionally aware. I was always like, I'll physically get my way through it.
Yeah. That's interesting because I actually looked up the dictionary definition of resilience, and it is the capacity to withstand or recover quickly from difficulties. And I think withstand's the key word there, because what you're saying is that you could withstand the physical pain, but like the emotional pain, you try and find like the easy way out, which might be anger. It might be like reacting quickly. I'm the other way around. I can withstand the mental shit, but like I would want to tap out of the physical stuff. So okay, how do we think we can use one to make the other one better then?
What's that saying where it's like be a gardener? No, be a gardener in a war and not a warrior in a garden. Is that right?
I've never heard that before.
Ian, what's that saying? We'll cut this and gel it back together.
I don't know, but if we go through Nick Bear's podcast, I'm sure he'll have it on there.
No, it's about be a warrior in a garden.
Yeah.
No. It's basically like prepare yourself in
Never heard this.
Yeah. Look, pause the podcast. I'm gonna get.
Ian should be googling this.
I'll do it quick and then we'll just edit it out.
Oh, Ian's too busy texting.
Gardener in a war. Yeah, look. It is better. I'm gonna act like I've just said this off my phone. It's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war.
Warrior in a garden.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So like being fully prepared in a very calm situation than being very calm when shit hits the fan. In a situation
that
needs action, that needs resilience, that needs so that when we talk about like preparing yourself and building calluses on your mind through resilience.
Calluses on your mind.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, it's better to do it during periods of calm and being consistent than when a race comes, when you're in that war, because you haven't...
This is the first time I felt like this.
You're a fucking gardener. You're not like,
Well, this is it. Like, this is the thing, like, I think why I ultimately have underperformed in those situations to this point is that it is brand new. It is like a new muscle.
Yeah.
And I wrote down, like, discipline as the main thing for, like, building resilience here, because I think resilience requires discipline. It's the path of most resistance, right? Like what you just like, it's not the easiest thing to do. So you know, I always say to myself, if there's something that I don't want to do, I'm like, successful people are people that do things no one else wants to do. Or like, okay, if I relate this then to like the physical endeavours, because that's where I'm struggling to find that resilience, I'm saying things to myself like, put the work in now. So it's like, I'm dancing on race day or whatever it is. But but like getting up and doing the session or pushing yourself that little bit harder, that requires discipline. Like you said, the practice of like being the warrior. What's the phrase as well? There's more phrases here about like if I had to chop down a tree, if I had 7 years to chop down a tree, I'd spend 6.5 sharpening the axe. Right, so
that's such a good one. Yeah,
I think that was a president as well. Well, I'm always crediting presidents. So like, you know, like I used to give up when it was uncomfortable, and I think I'm getting better at it.
I think we live in a world where, you know, instant gratification is at our fingertips, and it you know, whether we like it or not, subconsciously trains our minds to just look for those dopamine hits and those quick fixes. And, you know, I don't know whether I texted you the other day or I sent you a video. It was like, you know, Tom Brady said a quote where, you know, to be anything of substance, you don't have to be special. You just have to be what other people aren't, which is consistent.
Yeah. Outwork. I know, but like outwork everyone else. Because there are loads of examples of people that have loads of natural talent, but don't put the work in. And I mean, actually, you know what? This is probably really. I'll get loads of horrible comments about this. I'm doing him dirty, but like, I think Nick Kyrgios, the tennis player.
Oh yeah.
So like, that man is crazy naturally talented, but like openly says, I don't really practice. I think he's got better recently. But for years, he'd like go on the court for like a couple hours a week. And I remember, because I love watching tennis. It's probably my favourite sport to watch. And I remember being like, imagine how fucking good you'd be if you like applied yourself. Then you've got like the Andy Murrays of the world, who will hands up say that he knows he's not genetically the best tennis player in the world. He's had loads of injuries and stuff, but he outworked every motherfucker.
Everybody.
He was there 8 hours a day. I remember watching a program about all the stuff he was doing. So, yeah, work, baby.
It's just getting. I mean, you know, you say about like the fact that you're firing on all cylinders and you're so disciplined and resilient when it comes to like business or
emotional, anything emotional. Yeah.
But then you struggle with something physical. Yeah. Is that just because that's a new part of your life that you've not trained yet, or is it just because?
Well, when you say like you've been doing this since you were 10 years old, like I never had any equivalent of that. Like my idea of physical exertion was PE lessons, and I'd get out of them as often as I could.
Yeah.
So it's relatively new.
That's great.
Because even when I was at the gym and going to the gym loads, it's powerlifting, which, you know, the closest you get to, it's like 8 reps of 8. It's like hell. That's really funny actually, because I was thinking the other day I had like 15 reps of something, and I didn't even think twice about it, and I was like, whoa. Because if you told me a year ago, completely different. But so yeah, maybe it is because it's brand new, and that maybe makes me feel a little bit better about it. But also, is it just like you're only human and you can't be great at everything? No, but you know what I mean? Like, everyone's going to have a weakness. Yeah. And is it just like, that's mine and that's the thing that I've got to work on?
What about hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard?
The GOAT phrase.
I haven't heard that one before.
You've not?
No. No.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. It's good.
What about the fact that, like, the benefits of, say, you implementing that area of your life where you have had to really work that muscle in terms of your physicality with physical fitness and being resilient? Do you think you've seen a transition that's helped you with other areas of your life or improved your...
I think what it's done is it's improved my life in that there are obvious a lot of like scientific reasons why exercise is really good for your mental well-being, and I'm someone that even though I can power through it and I can do it to a detriment, I can power through all types of stress. I'd say that I have fewer stress responses now. Obviously we know exercise regulates cortisol, so I think having that regular release, I guess, for want of a better word, is regulating my moods and hormones elsewhere. I think that I've got a lot better perspective from the business in the past couple of years. Can I credit that directly to physical exertion, I don't know.
Yeah.
But like I'm definitely capable of, I mean Ian might disagree with me here, but things that would like plague me for months and months and months, being more like perspective, does this really matter, like the bigger picture here. I've talked before about what's important to me and about people's well-being and health and stuff. You know, if it's like, is it really affecting somebody's health, well-being? Does it require this much of my energy right now? But yeah, I definitely think that, I mean, like we actually have a friend who is a psychologist, psychotherapist, and he was saying he can't prescribe it. I can't remember for what reason, but he was like, if I could prescribe all of my depressed patients exercise. I would do that over antidepressants.
100%, yeah.
But no, I think what he was saying is that when you are in the depths of depression, actually going and doing exercise is not as simple for us as we might just go out.
Yeah.
So like he was like, it's almost like they need the precursor of antidepressants or therapy. But he was like, what's going to keep you not depressed, what's going to keep your mood and your hormones and your stress level is regular exercise. And that's from a psychotherapist saying he wants to prescribe it.
Yeah, I think there's and again, there's loads of research around, especially with exercise or health, whatever you want to call it, like just releasing that feel good hormone. So it's like it reduces cortisol, like you said, but it increases something called like oxytocin, which is like the hugging hormone. So it's like a community sort of what we do as humans. It's a hormone that we release when we feel good and we want to interact with other humans. So,
that's interesting. The hugging hormone.
The hugging hormone.
Is it like it gets released when you hug people, or just when you're around people?
Yeah. So it's like basically a catchphrase for the feel good hormone that you get from social interaction and exercise and happiness, dopamine.
That's wild though. Because what about like mad introverts that never want to socialise? Do they just not have a need for that hormone?
Yeah, I think maybe they do. Maybe that's just the way that their makeup is.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So if being mentally resilient is easier when you're not under stress.
God, it's hard when you are stressed.
Right. Yeah.
Well, you know better than me.
But like the two are, for me now at this point, the two are like inextricably linked.
Yeah.
Like I've said before, I asked you before we started recording, have you ever been through a period where you haven't exercised and you were like, well, no.
Yeah.
Now it's a non-negotiable for me. It wouldn't drop off.
Yeah.
But, the point I was making here is that, the idea about like, so resilience for me is about having thick skin.
Okay.
So like the things that might have really, really bothered you or might bother other people, being able to like see that perspective and carry on through.
That's interesting.
Right, so it's like, that's where I link that to the thing about like, if you're lower stress levels, better hormones, that becomes easier. So it's not just about like your stress levels are lower, but if you're not reacting to all of these things all the time.
Yeah, that's massive because you talk about having thick skin. I think that sometimes I find it really difficult when, let's say, like externally life gets quote unquote stressful or something bad happens or something that just completely takes you off your day. It used to ruin my day. Like I'd find it really hard to even go for that run because all my thoughts and anxiety or whatever would be thinking about this situation that's pissed me off so much.
Yeah.
And I'd almost try and like be a massive avoidant, and I'd just close off, and then it'd just build and build and build, and I wouldn't address the situation. But as I've gotten older, I've tried to identify those triggers. So like you just said about like, rather than being reactive, it's knowing what the triggers are. Whether it's a text or something bad's happened. And have you ever heard of the circle of control?
Maybe, but remind me.
Yeah, I might butcher this, but from memory, it's a psychological sort of framework that basically puts things into things that you can control, things that are out of your control, and things that aren't going to matter. And it's just sort of like signposting those areas and putting it into sort of compartments in your mind.
But then there's something, exactly, so I use that all the time, a lot with other people as well, about like, because so for me, something that's a big trigger for me is if I feel out of control. I like to be in control of things that go on. Yeah. So if something has happened where I feel like I'm out of control, I have to remind myself, okay, what are the things I can control in this situation, and then just focus your energy on those things. Yeah. Because, like you say, if you spiral off on the ones that you can't control,
you just send yourself crazy.
But then you say you found it really, really difficult to go for the run in that scenario. Would you still go?
I would, because I've the pattern and the story that I've told myself over the last fucking oh God, it's nearly 20 years of training. That makes me sound so old.
You started at 10 years
training.
old. That's really young.
Fucking more.
Yeah, but that's really young to start.
Oh no, yeah. Well, yeah.
To start serious amounts of
Jesus
training.
Christ.
It is weird when you do that. Because I remember when I...
It's 25. No, not 25.
Yeah,
24 years of training.
I remember when I used to tell people, like, I play guitar, and then I'd be like, oh, I've been playing for like 4 years. And then you like think
Got
about
socks
it, and
older
I'm
than
like,
that. Yeah.
I'm like, shit, now it's 20 years. Because you just like forget like how long you've been doing something.
Yeah, it's interesting though actually because we talk a lot about like 10,000 hours of practice making you like good at something, and like I would always say I describe Ian as someone who like can pick up anything and be good at it.
I only need 10 minutes basically.
No, but it might not be 10,000 hours, but the thing about Ian is he'll learn the fuck out of something.
Yeah.
And that requires quite a lot of resilience. Because, like, when you first pick something up and you suck at it.
Yeah, but then you get those special people who get
Hyper-fixated.
They're either procrastinating like a fucking
it's one
child
or the
in a
other.
playground.
It's one or the other.
Or they're just like... Vroom.
But, like, he will get through that period of... Like, I've never learned an instrument.
ADHD helps.
Yeah. But then you talk about like reframing things. It's like that's your superpower.
Yeah, 100%.
The fact that you can hyperfixate on something and be like really good at something, where other
Put it to
people,
my face.
whereas like other people, myself included, I mean like I'll think, oh, it's things I've tried to pick up and not finished. Learning languages, learning an instrument, maybe certain sporting activities.
Are you a big procrastinator?
Not at all.
Really?
Not at all in the
Mate,
slightest.
that is such a fucking superpower.
Like thanks very much. I'm a get shit done person.
Yeah.
If I've got a list of things to do, no matter how long it's done by lunchtime.
Wow.
No, I'm not fucking around.
It takes me all day to write the list. That should be a saying.
Yeah. I sort of hover between either getting shit done or I drift into like fucking procrastinationville.
It drives me insane. Even if I'm like next to someone that's procrastinating like that,
I think it's because you might relate to this, and we've spoken about this before, but I think it's because I have so many different ideas that it drags me into procrastinationville, and then I'm just like, it's like a fucking maze.
Shiny things.
It's debilitating as well when you have so many ideas.
You know what it is though, actually?
That's what happens when you're creative, isn't it?
Right, so I was just about to say that. I don't class myself as a creative person.
You're not?
Not at all. I'm logical as fuck. Logical brain. So I am all about getting it done, or like looking at the smartest way to get something done or the fastest way to get something done. I'm not an ideas person. If like anytime I've had to sit down and think up like marketing ideas for my business, I hate it. It drains me.
Yeah.
Like that's not, I'd rather someone else comes up with the idea
and you just
deliver. I'm like, great, this is how we're going to do it.
Yeah.
You're going to do that, you're going to do that, you're going to do that.
Yeah.
And then, so, you know, the world needs all different types of people. But I've never really been a creative person.
Yeah. I mean, again, I wouldn't sound like hyper creative. There's people that are far more creative, but I've definitely got my foot in that door.
There's different types of creation, though, isn't there? Because like you might not be an artist, but like I think you're full of ideas, and I think that's creativeness.
But it's sometimes it's debilitating. Yeah.
I was going to say, you say you're not creative, but with your singing you are, because like people send you tunes and then you write.
I was just about to say, like musically, like,
right.
When I look at a sheet of music, it's like looking at Chinese.
I don't read music. So I'll tell you where that comes from.
Tonally blessed.
No. So what Ian's talking about is in the past, sometimes people like send me pop tunes and they're like, oh, I need a vocal on this. And like 5 minutes later, I've just written a hit.
What?
So
Really?
Written a hit? Oh, Westlife over here.
I'll play some to you in a minute. But the difference
Simon
is
Cowell.
that comes from a lifetime of I've obsessively listened to female pop vocals. I'm obsessed with female pop vocals. The big ones, Christina Aguilera.
I was just about to say your pub quiz general knowledge. Yeah, if you were on what did they call it? Mastermind.
Yeah, like 90s pop music.
Linda,
so like, I obsessively listen to that type of...
Linda.
My brother... No, Linda. Yeah, thanks, mate.
Joking?
No,
that was part of the joke.
It's funny because, like, yeah.
I get called Linda all the
time.
time.
Yeah.
Do people miss the Y?
Yes.
People, like, don't know the name, so they just call me Linda, Olivia, Libby I used to have.
Libby.
I had a hoodie at college that had Libby on the back because it was such a running joke and people would just call me Libby.
It's so good when you get your Starbucks coffee back and it's like Linda.
Yeah.
As in ally.
L-I-N-D.
Well, like, they ask you your name, don't they? And I say Lydia. And then they just write whatever the fuck they want.
Lydia.
I had Martha once.
That my sister's called Martha.
Yeah, I said Matthew and they put Martha.
No!
Yeah.
This is insane.
What?
My sister got a Starbucks drink once that said
Matthew.
Matt on it.
Fucking.
I'm telling you, you were in the same Starbucks, same time, got each other's drinks.
Oh my god.
That's what it was.
That's what
She sent me a picture. I'm going to
Yeah,
find
it's
it.
like fucking Martha.
Whoa, mystery solved.
Yeah, but how'd you get fucking Matthew and Martha mixed up?
Well, you look the same.
Because you were next to each other.
We
and
look the same.
you were next to each other
She
and you
wants a
picked
hoodie,
up
to be
each
fair,
other's
so-
drinks.
Yeah. Mad.
But the music thing, I think that comes from the fact that I've listened to so much of it. It's just easy to like replicate it. Because all you're doing, you're replicating somebody else's idea. That's all you're doing.
Didn't they say that Ed Sheeran? Have you seen that thing where Ed Sheeran can play every sort of fucking pop song based on 3 or 4 chords?
Yeah, because every song is written.
It's just 3 or 4
That
chords.
is mental.
Yeah, they are. Though.
Someone's like
Yeah.
Craig David, 7 Days, and he goes,
Yeah.
and then he goes Coldplay, and he goes.
Well, you've seen Ian do it.
It's musical progression, isn't it?
Is it?
Progression in music. So like Western music and different music, they all have different progressions.
It's like some Stephen Hawking shit. It's like Rain Man.
Some cool shit.
Let's bring it back to mental resilience.
Sorry.
No, it's good. It's good. I love it.
See what he does. See what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I
Procrastination.
know. This is what I live with. We cover all sorts of
Jesus.
topics
That's
in
how
one
you do
day.
it.
It never gets boring, though, does it?
I know, it doesn't matter.
I think that there's a relation between being physically stronger or fitter and then like feeling like such a badass or being so bulletproof that it makes you like more resilient that way. And if I'll explain this. So like there was a period where I first started going to the gym where I was getting stronger and like I'm pretty good at squatting. That was the kind of thing that came naturally to me. And so like I built this like pretty big squat for someone my size, my age, whatever. That made me feel like such a badass that I kind of carried it into the rest of the day.
Oh yeah, 100%, yeah.
So yeah, okay, I don't want to be the person that's like, oh, I can squat this much.
Yeah.
But if you carry that
Well,
level, but yeah, I was. But if you carry that level of confidence,
Oh god, yeah.
that's going to help you in other aspects of your life as well.
100%. Yeah, I mean, like I having been in like situations where I had to compete or I had to fight and things like that. When I started off in my corporate career and I was doing a lot of sales, it was fucking easy for me to go and pitch to someone or sell to somebody, whereas everybody else, it would be quite a nerve-wracking thing to try and be in a stressful environment. It's like, mate, that's not stress. Try and get punched in the face, that's stressful. Or like, do you know what I mean? Like, or compete at a high level or whatever. Yeah. So 100%, I think it translates into a lot.
There's definitely a stat about like successful entrepreneurs and like intense training. I forget what it was. I want to say it was in like the 50-something%, which doesn't sound that high. But actually, if you think about find a single group of people that all do one thing, that's actually a really high percentage. Yeah. It was something like loads of people that we would consider successful, whether you make that metric money or businesses owned or anything like that, and having that discipline somewhere else in their life because they're so interchangeable.
I think you know, when you look at like you just said, like successful people or CEOs, I don't think there's anybody that has reached that sort of level that isn't mentally resilient.
Oh yeah.
So
because we talked about failure in a previous podcast, it takes the resilience to be able to get back up, rather than I failed once, I'm too scared to do it again.
Yeah, it's definitely a personality type, and I think it can be like a muscle. It can be trained to a certain extent.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We talked about Grit, the Angela Duckworth book before, didn't we?
Great book.
She talks about that and like actionable tips on how to actually get more resilient.
Yeah. It's more about staying power than it actually is like talent.
Stay the course.
Bite down on that gum shield.
What advice would you give a friend or a client who is thinking about giving something up because it felt a bit hard?
Don't be a pussy. You laid me into that one. You fucking drove me down the road and just fucking opened the door. That's an Ian quote, that is.
That's great.
David Goggins, don't be a bitch.
I'd just say, who do you want to be?
Yeah, true.
I've done this before with, we had someone working at one of the cafes who she had a tough day, she's been given a promotion and she wasn't dealing with it very well, and she just like left her key on the side and was like, I'll just leave this here basically. And it's the middle of like busy service, like she can't just walk out right now, it's gonna fuck us over. So I took her out the back and I was just like, who do you want to be? Do you want to be this person who goes home this evening, you've calmed down, you've realised it's not that big a deal, this isn't really that stressful, it's all relative, and you're like, quit your job? Is that who you want to be? Yeah. And like through snivelling, she was like, no.
Yeah, it's just like a realization, isn't it? Like you need to get out your own head and you know, not as easy as that sounds, but just have perspective and have someone like you talked about reframing everything and success and whatever else. It's the same with being mentally resilient. You've got to really reframe the story that you're telling yourself about that situation.
A motivation and a why, to always be reminding yourself a why, is also super useful. If you don't have that someone else that can coach you, ask you those questions, say don't be a pussy, have something that you can keep reminding yourself of or go back to.
100%. Couldn't agree more.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
We've covered so much.
I know, man. Thank you all very much for listening. I would be really interested to hear what you think about mental resilience, if you can relate it to a physical endeavour or something else that you do, interchangeable skills, that kind of thing. Let us know what you think. But yeah, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, guys.
See you next time.
Bye.